Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Boredom Busters with Lincoln Children's Museum. Today is Friday, May 29th, and today is National Learn About Composting Day. So we are going to learn about composting today. Now, for our printable, we have Kazoo in his garden. Now, can you help Kazoo name all of the different things that he has growing in his garden? He forgot to put tags out. Can you also count how many of each thing Kazoo has? And can you find one creature that is helping with the health of his soil? And how many of them are there? Now, so what is composting exactly? Now, all things will break down over time, and organic matter, which is what we call anything that comes from the earth and grows, so that could be plants or animals, anything like that is considered organic matter. And plants in particular do a lot to make up the bulk of the soil that we grow things out of. So the plants, when they're growing, they take nutrients from the soil to grow big and strong. Then when those plants die, they will rot and be broken down by bacteria and worms and other things, and then those nutrients will go right back into the soil. Now, what do you think happens if we throw away our food waste into the garbage? If you eat only half of your fruit before it spoils, or you have some spinach that's left over and you put it in the garbage, well, where does the garbage go? The garbage will go to a dump where there's no oxygen for those vegetable matter to break down, and it will sit there in the dump. But if we bury it underground, then all those little microbes and tiny little insects and worms can eat that plant matter, break it down, and return those nutrients to the soil. So it's very important to compost. Now, all LPS schools, all the public schools here in Lincoln, have a composting program. So whether you haven't started at public school yet, or if you go to a different school system, or maybe if you go to public school but you don't compost at home, let's take this time to remember and learn a little bit about the way that composting works. Now, anything that is organic will break down, but things like meat, they can attract other things that we don't want in our compost piles, like rats and other yucky things like that. So when we compost, we usually just do plant matter. Now, what parts of your diet are plants? Well, there's all of your vegetables and leafy greens, as well as your fruits and berries. Now, a lot of people will also like to add in their eggshells. And if you have a big enough compost pile or container, eggshells are great because they're full of different nutrients that need to go back to the earth. Now, here we have for our song recommendation today. This is a third grade class, and they are performing this song about composting. So it's fun to watch, and you can learn what this third grade class does to help the soil by composting all of the food at their school. And we have a video recommendation today called Composting 101, where you can learn some really, really good, valuable information, some good basics on composting. And that's what these kids are doing here. They are composting. And for our book recommendation, this is a lovely story by Mary McKenna Siddles, and it is called Compost Stew, an A to Z recipe for the earth. Because our soil, what is dirt after all? Well, dirt or soil, it is mostly organic material that has been broken down into soil. There are also small grains of rocks and sand and other minerals like that, but the bulk of it is decayed organic material. Now, for our science project today, this is one that will last about a month. So what you need for this project, you need an empty bottle. I'm going to use a 2-liter soda bottle because I like the shape of it and the volume. You'll need about 5 cups of potting soil. And this is some that I got from one of our pots that we did not plant in this year. So it does have some roots in there as well. So that's more organic material that can break down. I have some grass clippings. I just went outside and trimmed these down with some scissors. But if you have a lawnmower, you can get some from your lawnmower bag. I have some fruit that was sitting in the fridge since the 7th, so that was 21 days ago. So it's no good to eat anymore, but chock full of nutrients. Not good for our bellies, but it's already starting to break down because that's what the little slimes and the molds in there, it's microbes breaking it down. And then we also have some shredded paper. I just pulled this from our office paper shredder. If you don't have a paper shredder, you can just use some scissors and cut it up. All right, now we're going to need to take this 2-liter soda bottle and cut the top off. Now we want to do it, see where the curve is, we want to do it once it passes and gets to the flat side. So I'm going to cut it right about here. Now you can do this with a box knife. This is a sharp tool, or you can get a grown-up to poke a hole, and then you can use scissors to go all the way, the rest of the way around. That way you can do it yourself because these are very sharp, and I always say grown-up hands only on these box cutters because you don't want to have an accident. And these bottles can be kind of tricky to cut. So we want to go all the way around. And I am even going to switch to some scissors here because I feel the blade slipping around a little bit. I feel much more in control with the scissors. It is kind of hard to start the cut with scissors though. So maybe get a grown-up with a knife to just poke that hole for you and you can go around. All right, now we have our 2-liter bottle. And we are going to get some soil here. I'm going to put this on a tray so that if I spill, it's easier to clean up. You can do this on the back porch, somewhere outside, so it's easier to clean up. All right, so we're going to do a layer of soil, and we want a nice big layer here, nice base. I'm going to do a little more. All right, so there's our nice base layer of soil. And then we're going to do a thin layer of organic material, fruits, vegetables, potato peels, anything like that. And I'm just going to toss these in here. These little fruits that are super yucky to touch because they are much too old. All right. Put that lid back on there. And those were slimy, so I was going to wipe my fingers off on my rag. All right, now we want to get another nice thick layer of soil on top of that kitchen scraps. So you see, I can see just a little layer there. If you have like carrot peels, those work great, or some old spinach, because then you can make a kind of a flatter layer that goes all the way around. All right, now we're going to put in some shredded paper. Now this one we should be able to see. See the way that this lays in here between the soil, we'll definitely be able to see that. All right, now we need some more soil. And our paper, well, what is paper? Is paper an organic material? Well, paper comes from trees, right? And trees are a living plant. So yes, paper is made of organic material. so we can see what happens in our jar here. Now I'm going to put in my grass clippings. And if you have them from a lawnmower, they might be a little bit easier to handle here. Really shorter and shorter. This will work just. All right. You can also do this with perfect amount. All right. Now I'm going to top it off with soil. And I'm going to try to get this pretty close to the top, not all the way to the top because I want to be able to see it, and I'm going to need to tape my lid back on with duct tape. So that will make it difficult to see. All right, there we go. So now I can
You're back on.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that little technical glitch there. But here we can see our fruit layer, our paper layer, and our grass layer with nice thick layers of soil in between. All right, we're going to need to get this on top, but first we're going to add some water. Oh, watch from the side. You want the water to saturate, which means fill in all the empty spaces all the way down to the bottom. And the water will help it decompose because those little microbes, they love living in a wet environment. All right, I'm watching this down here. It looks like I'm almost there. And of course, the amount of water that you need will depend on how moist your soil was to start with. And, yep, looks good. I saw a little bit of wetness in the bottom there. There we go. There's that. Now we need to get this lid back on here. I've got some duct tape here to go around. Very sticky. All right, now I'm going to start just by kind of tacking it down so that the top doesn't slide around as I try to tape the whole thing. Sorry, I put one piece there, one piece on the opposite side. That'll keep the lid from wiggling too much as I try to tape it. So I see, this is what I was talking about earlier. With this black tape, I won't be able to see through it. So I want to be able to see everything that's going on in my bottle. You want to make sure that this gets taped up all the way around the bottle so that no fresh air can get in. Now, normally when we're composting, an important part of composting is to aerate the soil, which means to add air to it. You might do it with a pitchfork and turn it, or in other ways, but with this one, because we're doing an experiment, we don't want to do that. We want to be able to still see those layers. Now, I'm going to label my layers. I have this nice thick masking tape. If you just have a piece of paper, that works just fine too. So I'm going to take this tape and put it on the side of my bottle here. Let's see, let's find a spot where I can see the fruit. There's a spot where I can see the fruit. So on day one, there's the fruit layer, there's the paper layer, and there is the grass layer. So we can write fruit, paper, and grass. And today is 5/29/2020. All right, now put this into a warm window and watch it. And every couple days, take a look at it and see if your layers are still in the same place, what's been going on. And then after a month, take it outside, untape the lid, dump it out, and dig around in it with a little shovel and see what happened to your fruit, paper, and grass over the last month. All right, now I've got a quick art project for us. And this one here, I'm going to paint some tulips using a fork, and some paint. I am going to use a paintbrush for a little bit of it, but here's my fork. And you can use, whatever kind of fork you have. Works just fine. I'm going to try to make a multicolored one here by dipping it in purple and medium pink and bright pink. And then there's a tulip. Look at that. I'm going to make one more of this color. All right. Now I'm just going to wipe it off on this rag. You can also have a cup of water nearby if you'd like to do it that way. I'm going to do this one in pink and yellow. Maybe I'll get a little bit of orange out of it too. There we go. And when you're satisfied with the number of tulips that you have, take your paintbrush, get a little bit of green on there, paint your stems. Now, tulips and daffodils are pretty similar, but tulips have really big, wide leaves. Daffodils have very thin leaves, so I'm going to make sure to get a nice, big, wide leaf on there. There's one. So there you go. Paint some tulips. I know all of the tulips are done blooming for the year, but I always look forward to when they come up. They are one of my favorites, especially the ones that are multicolored. Now, I hope that you all are going to focus, learn a little bit about composting today. It's very important for our earth, and it can get you some really nice soil in the process. All right, now, Miss Katie, I do have a joke for you today. It's not about composting, but what does the scientist use to freshen her breath?
I don't know, Miss Greta, what?
Experiments. And I would like everyone to remember that on Sunday we do have our community celebration coming up. So keep an eye out, listen, see what we have. I'll have some more information for you on that on Sunday's post. And keep an eye out for those hashtag heartfelt rewards that we post. All right, well, have a nice day, everybody, and see you tomorrow morning at 10:30 for some more fun gardening-themed activities.